Now, without any further ado, we move on to our last and final session of AICTE ATAL FDP. And our topic for this session is climate change, part of industry. I kindly welcome Professor Dr. David K. Daniel to introduce and welcome our distinguished speaker.
Yeah, uh, I'm audible, no? Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Yeah, okay. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Venugopal S., who is really for the Chemical Engineering Department at Amal Jyoti College. Venugopal S. sir has been associated with us for quite a long time in many activities. He is an accomplished professional with over 30 years of experience in chemical engineering and management fields, and he is the general manager at HLL Life Care Limited, which is a Government of India enterprise, and he has also worked with Apollo Tyres as a senior officer earlier. Dr. Venugopal has a BTech in chemical engineering, an MBA in operations and human resources, and is pursuing his PhD in quality management from the University of Kerala. He has got a doctorate in environmental engineering and management from World Culture and Environmental Protection Commission. He's also got an honorary doctorate in training and management from Commonwealth Vocational University. He's got multiple national awards for excellence in training and management. With regards to his recognitions in certifications, he's got a Six Sigma Black Belt. He's a certified lead auditor for ISO 9001 2015 and ISO 14001 2015. He is a certified quality system internal auditor for NABL and ISO 45001 2018. He is a chartered engineer in chemical engineering. With regards to his professional contributions, he has implemented environmental initiatives and innovations, including green protocols and zero liquid discharge systems. He is a technical trainer in quality management, environment management, and productivity. He is with regards to his professional memberships, he is a fellow member of the Institution of Engineers India Limited, where we have been associated with for quite some time. He is a life member of the Indian Institute of Industrial Engineering and Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers. He is an honorary secretary of the Indian Society for Training and Development, Trivandrum chapter. He has authored over 15 national and international publications on management and environmental topics. So, with this small introduction, I welcome Dr. Venugopal, and I think we are looking forward for a fruitful session with you, sir. Over to you, sir.
So, good evening, sir. So, thank you for the nice introduction for me. So, today, I think for the FDP program, today, my session is the last session over the last 6 days. So I think it will be free. Now the time is 5 o'clock. I will try to complete this by 6:50, so that by 15 minutes we can have a discussion.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. People are
Okay,
worried
okay.
about the test which is going to follow after this session.
Okay. So so test, basically the questions are very simple for my topics are concerned. So no need to worry about the questions. Okay, so is the slide is all visible?
Yes, it is visible. It is visible.
So welcome to the last day session of FDP on climate change, the impact on the environment. So basically, the today's topic which have been allotted is pollution and climate change with respect to the industry. Pollution and environment, climate change on environment due to the industrial operations. So I'll be focusing. So I have practical experience in industrial operations regarding the pollution as well as the climate change. So just go through that. So first of all, have a brief introduction about what the industrial operations are there. So basically, industrial operations played a pivotal role in shaping the modern world. So since industrial revolution, industries have been driven unprecedented economical growth, technical innovation, and societal advancement. So this has facilitated mass production of goods, created millions of jobs, and improved living standards across the globe. And hence, the rapid industrialization has come to a significant environment cost. So earlier, during the early stage, of 18th century, this was not a focus. Now it has given a impact on the environmental cost, leading to pollution as well as contributing to the climate change. So basically, the link between the industry activities and then the degradation of the environment is now, as I think, it's been identified as a gap by different environmentalists, and this also leads to the carbon credit on imbalance of ecosystem, which is being well maintained. And the industry, of course, there are releases a lot of pollutants uh, into the air, water, and soil, which affects the ecosystem and human health. Basically, the burning of fossils and deforestation lead to the contribution of the greenhouse gas, which also plays a major role with respect to the global warming and which also abrupt the climate situations. So these challenges are basically interconnected, and we need to focus on the how to maintain environmental sustainability considering the above aspects. So as nations strive for economical development, we need to study the impact on industrial operations on pollution and climate change. For that, climate change is a vital factor. And recognizing these challenges, which will provide a foundation for the strategies which will affect the sustainable practices. Now let us see what is about the climate change. So basically, the climate change is not a immediate phenomena. It is a continuous long-term phenomena which refers to the shift in the global or regional climate patterns by the human activity. Basically, it is 90% of the climate change is due to the human activities in the industrialization. It is also characterized by an increase in the Earth's average temperature. Basically, global warming. If you take the global warming, there's always an increase in the average temperature by around 3 to 5 degrees. So this is caused due to the greenhouse gas emission of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, such as CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide. And these gases trap the heat from the sun, which will create a greenhouse effect, which will affect the natural climate system. So basically, the key effects of the climate change include the global temperature, melting glaciers, and polar ice caps, rising sea level, and more frequently about the weather, about the hurricanes, droughts, and the heat waves, the shift in the ecosystems, as well as the biodiversity of the system. Also, the human activities, which include the deforestation, industrial emissions, and burning of fuel. These are the major contributors to these changes. So, of course, the climate change poses a significant challenges to ecosystem, basic and with respect to the agriculture, water resources, human health, making it one of the most critical environmental and socio-economic issues. And also, it address the combination of mitigation efforts, such as reducing emission and adapting renewable energy, adapting measures to cope with the impact. So considering this about climate change, we have different types of pollution from the industrial operation. So basically it consisting of air, water, soil, and noise pollution. So we are focusing on air and water for the current situation. So each type has a distinct causes, and we have consequences for the ecosystem as well as the human health. So let us see about the air pollution. So industries, so basically the air pollution is mainly contributed by the industries globally. So basically the factories have their own power plant which emits a lot of greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. And also we have other pollutants like SO2, nitrous oxide, nitrogen oxide, then PM, particulate matter, volatile organic acids, compounds which result from the combustion of the fossil fuel. And this all these industries involved are involved in the energy production, then manufacturing, and refining emit significant levels of the harmful substance. So the consequence of these pollutions are, it is lead to the respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, also lead to ozone layer depletion, smoke, acid rain, which causes crops, buildings, and aquatic system. Furthermore, the greenhouse gas emission, which cause lead to the global warming by trapping heat, intensifies the effect of the climate change. So if you have the global greenhouse gas emission by the sector, we can see here most of these are created from the energy sector as well as from the industry. So these are the greenhouse gas emission. These are the main contributors. So basically, if you focus on industry, now the main focus is to reduce the emission. So basically, what industries are doing now, they have a system have to have zero emissions. Like that is the boiler. Actually, there's a boiler. Boiler is from that boiler we are reducing the SOx, NOx, etc. So actually, most of the industries are using now furnace LNG, liquefied natural gas, in place of furnace oil, which leaves a very good calorific value to the fuel and which lead to zero emission. And there's absolutely no stack from the there's no emission from the stack. So this is done as part of building green economy in the organization. But of course, it lead to the high in the operate this capital cost, but the investment is there, but if you consider the operation cost, it is very less and it has got it has got no impact on the environment. Actually, now HLL as an industry, which we have implemented our LNG, liquefied natural, during the year 2014, and absolutely we are using LNG, which is being vaporized at a temperature of received at a temperature of minus 165 degrees centigrade. Now it is being, earlier it was supplied by Petronet, now it is by through AGMP. Now we are receiving this in the towers. Then we have the vaporizers. Then from that it is connected to the boiler side. So we have a dual burner system. We can use either furnace oil or a, so absolutely our emission level is zero. There's no emission from the stack. So that's how we maintained a system of having maintain this system of air pollution in the industry. Almost all the industry now it's becomes a mandatory requirement to maintain zero emission system. Now most of the companies in Kerala, from the starting from Cochin to Trivandrum, they have been implemented this LNG as part of implementation of zero pollution in terms of air pollution. Now let us see coming some of the water pollution. So this air pollution has a drastic major change with respect to the climate change. Now if you come to the water pollution mainly occurs from the industrial sources, which also lead to the climate change also. So basically the unreacted discharges and treated effluents which have been discharged to natural bodies and rivers, lakes and oceans. And also this effluent, most of the effluents contain harmful substances including heavy metals, toxic chemicals, pathogens, then excessive nutrients, etc. And there are other main polluters are with respect to the textile, leather, chemical protection, etc., which release the hazardous waste into the waterways. So this contamination affects the natural ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, which cause the bioaccumulation of toxins in the marine species and health risk to the humans, then and neurological disorders. And moreover, the nutrient-rich discharges can lead to the eutrophication, creating dead zones in the water bodies that are devoid of oxygen and unable to support the life. So if you come to the water pollution also, now industries are going for zero discharge. So as in HLL is concerned, now we are also have a zero liquid discharge company now. We have a effluent treatment plant very well ETP having to treat an effluent up to 1200 KLD of effluent per day. And this treated effluent as per the KSPCB guideline, which we are using for our irrigation, gardening, floor washing, etc. And balance we are discharging around 250 to 300 KLD to public drain as per the KSPCB now. Now for the last 2 years, since 2022, we have installed a reverse. We have installed a pre-treatment of ultrafiltration and RO reverse osmosis system. From by we take one of the streams from the process plant, and we do the pre-treatment with the sand filter with clarifloculate, etc. And this is fed to the ultrafiltration, and the ultrafiltration it is then fed to an ultrafiltration membrane. Then the permeate, the UF permeate is going to the as a feed to the RO plant, RO, and the reject will be going to the collection tank. In the ultrafiltration, reject will be going to the ETP collection tank, and the RO reject from that RO it is going to a reverse osmosis, so it's going to a membrane filtration. So we have a recovery up to 50%, 50 to 60% recovery, and from that 50 to 60% recovery. And the treated water we are using indirectly for our chiller application. So we have a treatment plant of capacity up to 100 KLD, and from that we have 50 KLD treated water from the RO plant, which we are using for our chiller, directly using for our chiller plant operation, etc. And if the ETP discharge, we have a 200 to 250 KLD effluent. So that effluent which we are giving, we have a tie-up with the Gold Club Trivandrum Gold Club. Actually, it is a coordinated efforts of Government of Kerala, SAI, and the treated effluent water from the HLL is going to the Gold Club. So the 200 KLD water is being used for our gardening. So they have a pre-treatment and it directly used for the gardening in Gold Club, and we are actually it is as part of our CSR also. We are not charging any of the amount for the water given to the, because we are taking as part of our CSR facility. So this water pollution also lead to a lot of drastic. Most important thing which we need to focus. So as part of an industry, we are bound to follow the norms with respect to the air, water, etc., and soil to reduce avoid the impact on the climate. So this is about the water pollution. So we do a 53 element analysis of the treated effluent, the nearby well water sample, also the water we are giving to the Goals Club, etc. So absolutely all the elements are well within the limits as well as the below detectable limit also. So actually, the pollutants also our level is very much on the lower side, and we have a online monitoring system also. Like we directly monitor the parameters, treated effluent parameters like pH, BOD, COD, TDS, suspended salts, etc. And this is directly linked to the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board portal. So every 4 minutes the readings are getting captured, and if there is any of the values in any of the time is getting outside the limit, then definitely we'll get a warning. So from the last 2 years, we have not received any such type warning from Central Pollution Control Board. So that also is done as part of the industrial pollution, how it is being affected for our routine operation. So coming to the soil pollution also, so the soil pollution also contributes a much through for the climate change. Basically, in terms of the improper disposal of the hazardous waste, the chemical spills, and the use of pollutants like petroleum products and pesticides, etc. And of course, there will be a lot heavy metals also in the cadmium, arsenic, lead, etc., which are present in the industrial waste, making them contamination. So these polluted soils basically lose the fertility and they are unsuitable for agriculture and threatening the global food security. So in HLL also we have a lot of like soil pollutants it can also reach the groundwater and further spreading contamination. And with the long-term effects of soil degradation lead to the biodiversity and disrupt the ecosystem, and of course climate change, and also rely on healthy soil for our subsistence. So coming to the soil pollution also, we have basically our soil pollution, actually our sludge, basically the ETP sludge, which is generated because since we are using a basic raw material as a natural rubber latex, so basically it having a constituents of NPK, nitrogen phosphorus content. So basically our sludge is categorized as a manure. So we done a study with the agricultural college at Trivandrum to demonstrate now our sludge is having a characteristic of the manure. So we 50-50 our ETP sludge as well as 50% cow dung. Then see this it's a better that it's the best manure that we have made it. We made a lot of 1 year study we have made with the agricultural college at Trivandrum. I prove that our ETP sludge is considered as a manure. So basically, so this soil pollution we are totally avoided by using this sludge for our generated from the process from the ETP. We use it for our gardening, then landfilling, etc. So absolutely the discharge level also is zero. It is not treated as a hazard. We got exemption from the hazardous category. It is being treated as a non-hazardous substance. So coming to, of course, the noise pollution, it also having a lot of impact on the climate change with respect to the human life as well as the wildlife. Then coming to the machinery and also construction activities, transportation, then heavy equipment, etc. This high noise level lead to the hearing loss, stress, and sleep disturbances in human. So also the wildlife noise pollution interferes with their natural behaviors such as communication, navigation, and mating. Ultimately affects the population dynamics and stability of the ecosystem. So, so better implementation of sound. For that, now we have a better soundproofing technologies like acoustic enclosures, then providing, then adhering to the regulations in the industrial zones, then monitoring and measurement of noise level at day and night, and the prescribe and to follow at the prescribed level, and the use of PPEs, earmuffs, etc., like ear plugs, etc. So it can avoid the pollution. So, and also by proper maintenance of the blowers, pumps, etc., which will create the noise pollution. So basically, these pollution types undergo the need for comprehensive measures to mitigate the environmental as well as health impact. So basically, we have to find the root cause and the consequence of this noise pollution, which can give a better sustainable future. Now, this is about the pollution which will have effect on the climate change. Now, let us see the climate change, how it is linkage on the environment due to industrial operation. So basically, industrial operations stand as a pivotal role which drives the climate change. So basically, the link between the industrial activities and the crisis of the global warming, because the industrial activities may rise to the global warming effect. No? So when it escalates the crisis of global warming, in both direct as well as the indirect manners, which involve the release of greenhouse gases and land use changes and ecosystem disruptions. So basically, as industry generally expands and expand their operations, and by modernization, also by modernization So the contribution to the climate change become increasingly significant, especially in terms of the urgent and comprehensive attention. So one of the primary base industrial operation contributes to climate change is the release of, I told you about the greenhouse gases. So the release of greenhouse gas definitely will increase the carbon credit also. So we have to have system to control to improve the carbon credit, etc. So basically the fuel combustion, the fossil fuel combustion, which is the largest source of carbon dioxide, which emits through the energy generation, energy producing as well as through the industrial process. So basically energy generation and industrial process contribute to the generation of greenhouse gases. So industries such as cement production, steel manufacturing, and chemical processing, they are the particularly notorious for the emission vast quantities of carbon dioxide. So as an example, we can see the production of cement alone contributes for approximately 8% of the global. So in average, we can see 5% of the global carbon emissions are due to the industrial operations, basically the cement as well as the energy producing industries, and also a combination of the fossil fuels. So in addition to that, we have also derived the methane gas as well as the nitrous oxide, which also plays a notorious critical role for greenhouse gas emission. So the methane, which is a 25% more potential than the gas than carbon dioxide, which is released during the oil and gas extraction, the coal mining, and the waste management process, which is also a main pollutant to which will affect the climate change. So basically, the nitrous oxide emitted from the industrial process and agricultural practices having a higher level of global warming potential that further compounds the impact of industrial operations on the with respect to the climate. Now, the other climate change with respect to industrial operation with the deforestation and land use changes. And so basically all the industries, they have a scope for expansion over a period of time. So the industries have been selected considering that only. So that often leads to a deforestation and significant and land use changes. So basically this deforestation can be lead to cleared to accommodate the factories, mining operations and urbanization. And also this deforestation destructs the carbon absorbing ecosystems, which release carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to a greater extent, which contributes to the global warming. So also it affects the loss of vegetation, then the planet's ability, then further carbon dioxide emission, creating a feedback loop that accelerates the climate change. So also the agricultural expansion is the tropical deforestation driven by the agricultural expansion and logging and industrial development results in the release of billion tons of carbon dioxide annually. So as part of we have to maintain an ecological balance with the long-term consequence on the climate stability considering the industrial operations. Now, the accumulation of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which also enhance the greenhouse effect, which traps the heat and causing global change. So the global temperature, there's a change of 5 degree over a period of time. So this global temperature rise also contributes to the climate effect on the climate system. So there's a trigger, a cascading effect of the environment change, including the melting ice caps and rising sea levels. No? So there will be always a which disrupts the marine ecosystems in terms of their existence as well as the climate. So coming to the extreme weather events. So the climate change also having an extreme weather events which amplify the frequency and intensity of weather events such as hurricane, droughts, and heat waves, which cause damage to the infrastructure, agriculture, as well as human livelihood. So this extreme weather has also an impact on the climate system. Then the acidification. So with the basic absorption of the excess carbon dioxide by the oceans, which lead to the formation of the carbonic acid. So making the pH as acidic, you can increase the ocean acidity, which loses the visibility in the ecosystem, which endangers marine biodiversity, especially in coral reefs and shelf life operation, which are very vital for ecological as well as the economical systems. Now let us see the global sea level over a period of time. For the last 20 years, it is ever high on the almost on a 5 degree. You can see here on the higher side, and the global deforestation trend is on the lower side. Coming to the area with respect to the forest area loss. Now, next come the industrial pollution and the secondary effects. So the industrial pollution is also having an effect on secondary effects. So first we discussed everything about the primary effects. Now we have to see the secondary effects with respect to the climate change. So basically, industrial pollution extends the harmful effects beyond the immediate emissions, which is having a long-term effects, contributes indirectly to a multitude of environmental and climatic challenges. For this instance, which release the particulate matter and a byproduct of the combustion, which accelerates the albedo effect when deposited on the ice caps and glaciers. And this phenomena causes ice to absorb more solar radiation. So it melts and accelerating global sea level rise. So basically, the global sea level rise is the major phenomenon associated with the secondary effect. Now, another thing with respect to the emission of sulfur and nitrogen compounds, which lead to acid rain, which not only affects the aquatic ecosystem but also affects the soil quality, then forest health and carbon sequestration capacity. So basically, it has a triple effect on the industrial pollution, which also extends the feedback loops within the climate system. So the climatic systems it gives a feedback loops which will have a ripple effect on the pollution. So the pollutants basically such as the black carbon, especially from the carbon industries, tire industry, etc., and troposcopic ozone are patent short-lived climate forces which have significantly affected the short term. Then coming to the carbon black's ability to absorb solar radiation, which not only heats the atmosphere directly, but also alters the cold formation of the patterns, then complicating the weather predictability and climate stability. So the industrial effluents degrade the natural habitats, so which reduce the resilience of the ecosystem, undermining their role as carbon sinks. So we can see the wetlands, mangroves, and peatlands, etc., which are very pivotal in the sequestering the atmospheric carbon, often suffers from the contamination due to the industrial runoff, which lead to the reduced ecological productivity and the carbon absorption rate, which affects the carbon cycle also. So the resulting loss in this biodiversity weakens the ecosystem services, which perpetuates the environmental degradation and contributes to the climate instability. So this interplay of industrial pollution with the environmental process underscores the urgent need for integrated approaches. So we have to have an integrated approach in order to address this issue, which causes due to the direct emission as also due to the cascading effect, which having a short term as well as the long term effect. So we have effective mitigation strategies, not only the reduction of pollutant, but also the restoration, and we have to have a conservation of ecosystem to boost the activity to counteract the adverse impact of the industrial activities. So coming, if you see the global perspective, the industrial sectors contribute to the climate change is a global concern, and that also transcends borders with significant disparities in the emission level and impact across different countries. So basically, considering the impact of climate on various countries and also the climate change, etc. So there will be the emission level also the abruptly varies between countries to countries, and also emission level and emission rate, etc. varies over a period of time for each of the countries. So by considering the as a global perspective, we have to do a full fledged study to understand the history of the earlier industrialization and the primary contributors to the greenhouse gas emissions at the early stage of the industrialization. So basically, the countries contribute for the industrialization. So they give a awareness as well as a regulatory framework. Actually, in the initial stage where they are absent, which lead to which lead to the unchecked emissions, etc., and which have been accumulated over a period of time. So that has been affected in the future also. So this was the trend of since the industrialization starts. So by basically the even if for a short period of time, the effect on the emissions have a long term effect on the operations as well as for the climate change. So of course, the consequently they bear a significant responsibility for the current state of climate change, and we have emerging economies and industrialization to meet the development goals and improve the quality of life of the population. So basically, China, India, and Brazil, we have experienced exponential industrial growth over the period of time, which also led to a high surge in greenhouse gas emissions. So this growth can be fueled by coal and other fossil fuel, which remain in the dominated energy sources due to their cost effectiveness and availability. Now it is being replaced by the fossil fuels, etc., over a period of time to avoid the loss of the petroleum products in the country. So the industrialization of these nations having a challenge, a major challenge, which affect the economic progress and which also which will minimizing the environment harm, etc. So basically, developing countries have a additional layer of complexity, which have lack of resources and technology to have a cleaner and more sustainable industrial practices. So many of the nations, the immediate priority is the economical survival and poverty alleviation, which can conflict with the environment. So there will be always there's a contradiction between the environmental objectives as well as the survival of these nations in terms of economical as well as from the poverty. So this creates a disparity when countries are more vulnerable on the effect of climate change due to the geographical and that's most important geographical and socio-economic factors which contribute to the global emissions but suffer disproportionately from the consequences. So basically, efforts to address the global disparities have been during the various climate agreements like Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement, etc. And this they have been debated, etc. And these issues have been sorted out to some extent. So basically, this framework from the Kyoto framework, etc., they acknowledge the varying contributions and capacities of the nations and urge the developed countries to support them to reduce the emissions and provide financial and technological support to the nations. So, of course, the interconnectedness of the global supply chain that meets the industrial emissions often the consumption demands of the other. So, instead, the goods manufactured in Asia are frequently exported to Europe and North America, where the carbon footprint is largely attributed to the producing country rather than the consuming one. So, the country which is producing these goods, manufactured goods, need to have a contributes more in terms of the carbon economy. So this highlights the need for we have a holistic approach for the carbon accounting. So most of the countries, most of the companies as well as the industries now focusing on the carbon credit, how to reduce the carbon footprint, etc. So basically considering the emissions across the entire life cycle of the product and say it's not relating to the manufacturing cycle. They have to consider the entire life cycle of the product and service. Basically, now if you see the environment system approach, it is a life cycle approach rather than till up to the customer level. The product we have to sustain consider the activities right from the design stage up to the product end disposal, etc. So basically, the industry sectors plays a major role with respect to the climate change. Coming to the global issue, which is shaped by the historical, economic, and political factors. So basically, achieving a sustainable future requires collaborative efforts between the countries and which address inequalities in emission, responsibilities, and capacities among the nations. So by fostering the global solidarity and ensuring equitable access of resource and technologies, the international community can work towards mitigating the impact of industrial pollution and the climate change on a planetary scale. Now let us see the strategy. The top industrial polluting countries. Basically, we are seeing China, US, and India comes after that, etc. So the focus with respect to the emission in terms of billion tons in China, if you take it is almost 50 times more than the USA and almost 75 times more than the India. So this is how the trend is there. Now countries and nations are coming to reduce the level of emissions. Now let us see the climate change with respect to this environmental degradation having effect on health and social impact. So the environmental consequence lead to the human wealth as well as societal well-being. So we have air and water pollution, this exposure, which can increase the incidence of diseases such as asthma, cancer, and neurological disorders. Of course, we have vulnerable populations, including children and elderly and low-income communities, which are disruptively affected by this climate change. So the climate change exacerbates social and economical inequalities by impacting agriculture, of course, the water resources and infrastructure. So we have extreme weather events such as hurricane, floods, and droughts, and also we disrupt the livelihoods and force communities to migrate, leading to conflict over resources. So now let us see what are the strategies for mitigation and adaptation. So basically, the first with respect to the policy. So the government plays a critical role in regulating the industrial activities to minimize the environmental impact. Now let us see. Now all the like what I told you, the government, especially the regulators like Pollution Control Board, they have a policy for this. Now they introduced this zero emission concept, and whoever pollutes the polluted industries, so they'll be charged fine, etc. And also they have provided online systems to measure the air pollution, etc., and water pollution to ensure that the industries are not at all contaminating with the environment, etc. So this also they are bringing down the regulatory these norms, etc., like the level of the air emissions with respect to the air, water, etc. You know, on a continual basis, the norms are getting revised and stringent norms are being followed, and industries are advised to follow the zero discharge practices in terms of emissions as well as the effluent, etc. So by the policies and regulations, the government plays a major role, and more than that, this the CPCB followed by the Green Tribunal, they are also they are releasing the policies and regulation to ensure that better strategies can be implemented and adopted, etc. So the policies with us, I told you about the emission standard and carbon pricing, etc. And subsidies for clean technologies. Also that also being now actually this subsidies. Now the subsidies for clean technologies, which encourage industries to adopt the best sustainable practices. So this can be as part of policy which we can improve. Then also we have an international agreement with the Paris Agreement, which aims to limit the global warming by setting emission reduction targets. So all the industries have set a norms now, like internal norms with respect to the reduction emission. Now also, what I'm suggesting is no, there should be a scorecard, environment balance scorecard, which having an impact on the new emission as well as the climate change with respect to the deterioration on the process, etc. So they say by balanced scorecard approach, environment balance scorecard approach, which will have better impact with respect to the mitigation as well as the regulating the emissions as well as the pollution. Now let us see about the car technology. Second strategy is with respect to the technological innovation. So basically, most of the countries, so advancement of the technologies to reduce the industrial pollution and the greenhouse gas emissions. So we can capture the carbon dioxide emission from the industrial process, and we can store them underground. So that also, because this becomes we can have a capture and storage of carbon capture technology. So this we can thought of providing this technology for our future. Also, of course, we can have a renewable energy source we can use like solar, wind power, etc., which have cleaner alternative fuel, alternative to the fuel, fossil fuel, etc. And most of the industries are having solar power plants, etc. Of course, the wind power plants have some limitations, but solar, of course, solar power plant which have impact on. So we also installed a solar power plant six months back. So we have a megawatt 1 megawatt power plant. We have in solar power plant we have installed in our factory. So we have been effectively utilizing the solar light for our application for process application. So coming to other sustainable practices, we have industries can adopt sustainable practices to minimize their environment impact. So this we can include as optimizing the resources. Then reuse. Then we have 3 R's: reducing waste and transition to cleaner production methods. So even the production method also. So now we have cleaner with less pollution process now. With even if you can see now that if you see a tire industry, so earlier the tire industries or cement industries are now more highly polluted. Now it has been, we can see even the tire industry, if you go, absolutely there's no emission of so there's no air pollution, etc. We can see there's earlier we can see the emission of the carbon black, etc. in the at the mixing stage, etc. during the, but now absolutely the where they are discharging the carbon black in especially in Banbury type mixers, no emission, and absolutely the environment is totally clean. So that industries are to come with a cleaner, now it is being followed. It's now as part of implementation of ISO 14001 and other sustainable goals, SDG goals, etc. They have an internal target to have clean production methods, which will optimize the process as it also lead to less production cost and higher productivity, etc. So this is so basically by following a circular economy, which industries which can use the reuse, recycle, etc., which can contribute to the reduce the waste generation. Of course, the final stage is public awareness and engagement. So also like we have to educate the public as a regulatory bodies and other NGOs, etc. They regulate the public, etc. They give proper education to the public about the environment impact of the industrial activities, and which can drive the consumer demand for the sustainable product and practices through some of the awareness programs, either from the community level or through the industry oriented programs, etc. So which lead to have better understanding, and also they are also part of an engagement of the mitigation process, and are also activities which lead to the best environment friendly measures. Of course, the international cooperation. So that is for countries, if you consider there will be climate change and pollution, which are the global challenges actually which we are facing. So of course it requires a international cooperation, etc. So we should have a collaborative effort such as transfer of technology and financial support, and sharing of the best industry practices across the developed countries as well as developing countries, and also the principles of reuse and recycle, etc., and reduce the waste, which can ensure a collective response to address these issues. So finally, I concluded that the relationship between the industrial pollution or industrial operations and the climate change is a defining challenge of our era. So when industries have been pivotal in driving economical progress and improving the living standards, their environmental costs, manifesting as pollution, resource depletion, and greenhouse gas emissions are causing irreparable damage to the planet. So the climate change, which is being fueled by the industrial activities, leading to rising global temperatures, melting ice caps, extreme weather events, and the disruptions of the ecosystem. So these consequences not only threaten the environment, but also it affects the human health, livelihoods, and global stability, and which will have a dual threat of pollution. Climate change and industries must transition toward sustainability. The renewable energy adoption and energy efficient improvements, waste minimization process are crucial in reducing the emission and conserving resources. So we have to involve additional technologies like I told you about the carbon capture technology and storage, which offers promising solutions for managing the industrial greenhouse emission, which will have impact on the climate change. So, of course, the government also must ensure strict environmental regulations, supporting the industry, not like a police job. They support the industries and they control they act as a regulatory bodies. And all industries must embrace CSR, corporate social responsibilities, and prioritize sustainable production methods. So, equally important is the role of public awareness and consumer behavior. That also being as individuals as well as communities. So, they have the demand should come through the development of cleaner products and hold corporations accountable. So, basically, this address the industrial pollution and climate change requires a united global effort. So it is essential to have a balanced industrial growth with environmental stewardship, ensuring that the progress does not come at the cost of planetary health. So this fight against the climate change is not merely a climate change challenge. So basically, it is to reshape the industries and to enforce the sustainability and to have a economical balance to maintain ecological balance. So adapting this principle, we can mitigate the harmful effect of the impact on the emissions of the industrial activities, which having a slow phase of the climate change and safeguard the living planet for a future generation. So basically, I finally conclude that industrial success is meaningful only when it leaves a clean, greener world for future generation. So thank you. It's about that. So if you have any questions which we can discuss, please.
Thank you, sir. Now we move on to the final Q&A session. Any participants with queries can ask them to the speaker or post the questions in the chat box.
So I'm expecting a
Please
lot of
feel
questions.
free to ask any questions.
So since being the last session, people are just want to hurry up. No, I'm expecting a lot of questions from the participants. No? So having interaction. No? So we can have an interaction on the technological aspect as well as with respect to the uh, knowledge.
I believe there are no more questions. Now I kindly invite Dr. Suraj Rajan for delivering the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank
So
you, sir. Yeah, sir.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
tell me, sir.
one more thing. Actually, it's a very good initiative from the part of the Amal Jyoti for this for conducting such a beautiful program organized for 6 days, covering the topics are almost it covers all the phases of the climate change with respect to the ecosystem. So of course, this will be I think most of the colleges of chemical engineering faculties from Kerala has been covered this session. So as part of basically from Abdul Kalam Technology University and for other deemed universities. So I'm also a part of because I'm also I am a board of studies member from APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University in the Department of Chemical Engineering as a technical expert. So we can have, of course, now this session will not end by this. So we can have many more detailed discussions with respect to the environment as well as the climate change, which with respect to the our current system or industries or any industrial concern, etc. This group can definitely coordinate with in future programs or any other meetings or conference, etc., etc. So these are requests which I can give it to us since there are no more questions. Thank you all. So one question has come. So can I answer that now? Can you?
Yes, sir. That question from Alice Thomas. Any source of data available online for getting water pollution condition of various rivers?
Yeah, sure. It is available now. If you have, there's a specific site called Industrial Water Pollution Challenges. No, you just challenge. You can see the Kerala, the major rivers affecting the this polluting. No, so all the 50 elements, elemental analysis, what are the parameters and over the trend, everything is available. No, this Central Pollution Control Board. No, actually they publish a lot of data, no, in terms of sector wise as well as the area wise, which pollutes the environment, etc. So of course the data are available. Now actually since the online monitoring systems are there even for like every near the rivers and valleys, etc., etc., they are also installed the water level quality. Also have been installed, etc., in the rivers and water bodies, etc., to ensure that now the water is pure or is having a clean. So the data are available.
Thank you, sir. Now I
Thank you. Thank
invite
you.
Dr. Suraj Rajan to present the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. I want to sincerely thank our distinguished speaker of the day, Dr. S. Venugopal, for the enlightening and motivating talk today. We have gained a deeper grasp of industrial operations and effect of pollutants towards climate change thanks to your knowledge and a captivating presentation. Your commitment to knowledge, advancement, and your readiness to impart your insightful expertise have greatly influenced all of us, sir. We sincerely appreciate all of your time and work in preparing and presenting such an in-depth and stimulating presentation. With a token of gratitude, Department of Chemical Engineering, Amal Jyoti College of Engineering, sharing a virtual memento with you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable session with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.